Welcome, everyone, to this briefing brought to you by the Israel Defense and Security Forum, IDSF. In Hebrew, name is Abitronistim. IDSF is the leading Israeli organization advocating for strong national security to defend Israel. And when you talk about advocating and fighting for Israel, there are a number of names that come to the top of the list of really warriors of Israel who have done this their whole lives, their whole careers, one of whom is my guest today, Major General Gershon Hacohen. General, it's so great to have you with us today.
Good to be with you, and we are all sharing a very historical moment in a scale of biblical great moments.
Absolutely. And I love speaking to you because you're not only a wealth of military knowledge and perception and understanding, but you're very philosophical and spiritual, and you kind of
No,
join
this
them
is
all
practical,
together.
because to be spiritual, it means to be practical. You cannot really live in such era without bringing the force to conceptualize spiritually what's really going on.
100%. So let's start with the practical, and then we'll move into the higher realms of spirituality. Can you just share with us the facts on the ground? What is happening in Syria? What is the IDF doing in Syria, and how does that affect your neighborhood, the Golan?
No, the Golan is quite safe. The problem is not the Golan Heights. The problem is the whole crisis of the region. It is like a huge tsunami that no one can really predict the outcome for tomorrow. Actually, what happened is that IDF succeeded, thanks God, to defeat Hezbollah and Iran. And this impression of what IDF succeeded to create changed the whole perspective of those rebels about their opportunity. And they've been prepared by the Turkish in Idlib, in north of Syria. And they realized that as they found a moment of opportunity, and they exploited it. By just beginning, they found the army of Assad without any motivation to really fight. And why it is so important that they succeeded to do that so fast? It is an emerging phenomenon, because they glide upon the waves of the huge wishes of the people to destroy our Assad regime. For example, one of the rabbis in Israel asked me why we couldn't do that in ourselves. The answer is that we could not really create that a spiritual power that recollected the Syrians to act together simultaneously as a self-evolving system. It was not really planned. It was just rise up. The Druze, for example, in the south of Syria, found that this is their hour. The skies, the heaven became open to initiation, and everyone found his own initiative. And this is exactly something that's not coming to be guided by control of headquarters. It was guided by the spirit of human being. And this huge spirit just pushed them to take a metaphor, a sailor just raising up his mifras, how to say it, what's taking the ship.
His sail.
He's not created the wind. He's exploiting the wind. So if the leader, Giuliani, of these rebels will think that he did all that, he will fail with the sin that Moses already told us, don't say that it is my mighty power that made all that. And it is practically because it is necessary to be aware about those forces that are not at all directed by human being. So this is a great phenomenon that emerged suddenly, and here we can really find a very good adaptation to the situation by IDF and the Israeli government. Netanyahu took the command and realized that this is the hour to be focused on main two targets. One, to make sure that the Golan Heights and the Israeli interests are well saved. Therefore, it was necessary to cross the border and to go to the free zone between Syria according to the agreement of 1974, and to take necessary positions from the north in Hermon to the south. But there is another mission that was really taken seriously. And this second mission is to not just sit passively to look what will be the outcome in Syria in times that it is in that chaotic change, but to be active in creating design energy, to design the situation. And just to explain it simply that everyone will understand, at the moment Milosevic, the president of Serbia, surrendered, and at the morning after, all NATO land forces have been planned to enter to Kosovo, the Russians' headquarters realized that if they are not there, they will not be taken as a member of the new order. Therefore, they sent at night a reconnaissance unit that crossed 1,000 kilometers from Russia to Kosovo. And when the British paratroopers came to Pristina airfield in Kosovo, they found there a reconnaissance unit of the Russians to say, we are here, whatever you will do here, we are part of the table that's speaking about the future, what really will come here. That's the mission here, to emphasize that we have interests. And the main interest is about what really will rise up from this struggle that it is yet now absolutely chaotic and guided by the Turks. Erdogan is not less dangerous than the others. And Erdogan succeeded to push all that rebels by being guided by the dream to come back there to Ottoman Empire. Actually, in the Middle East, not only leaders, even the people, living with national and religious dreams. If they are not fulfilled now, they are waiting with them. They are not coming to negotiate about eternal dreams. The Turks carry the dream to bring back themselves to what they have in the Ottoman Empire, including Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is the main focus. And they are always doing a lot of efforts in Jerusalem to keep footprints, that they have responsibility and dreams to Jerusalem. And on the other side, the Iranians, their dream is to come back to the days of Dariavesh, Achashverosh, 2,500 years ago, to a huge regional empire in the region. And actually, Israel struggles now not only with physical forces in the reality, but also with huge dreams. It means that the active actions that Israel took to destroy what remains from Assad army, including Air Force, including Navy, and they are doing that excellently, and to take positions that we are now part of whatever will happen in the future, this is a very important message. Beyond that, we must wait to the Americans and instruct the Americans to understand that if they are not coming to support the Kurds in the eastern of Prat River, in their territories that they succeeded to build the kind of self-recognition nationality, then America will not be considered as an entity that someone can trust in time of trouble. Now the Kurds are in trouble, they are in alliances with the United States, and the United States must stop Erdogan from his expectation to destroy the Kurdish territory that actually became de facto state. And why it is so important, when President Wilson, entered to be a president in the middle of First World War, he came with one condition to join the war, that after the war, not empires, but self-recognition for every entity. Who didn't get that rights? The Kurds. More than 30 million Kurds since 1917 are living without an identity and a state. So everyone must ask why all the world is so much devoted to build the state for the Palestinians for 3, 4, 5 millions, and ignored the rights of the Kurds that they are 30 millions. And they are waited to get what they deserve to get. And if America really following the idea that they are really feeding the world, they must support the Kurds, because only the Kurds will not succeed to fight against the Turks with the rebels. So still, the situation in Syria is not at all stable. It is not that one regime collapses, another will rise up, and Syria is the same. Syria could be separated to a lot of federations, who knows what. Anyhow, they are different regarding cultural attitude, ethnical attitude. There is the Alawic district in the shore near the Middle East with the harbors Latakia, Tartus. There is Homs, that it is a district with a lot of connections to Turkey. There is a district of the Druze. There is a district of farmers in the south of Syria that belonging to Jordan much more than to Syria. All that conglomerate, no one really knows whether it will stay as a united state in the future. This is a very dramatic moment that yet under really staying under uncertainty. And what really must be in the Israeli mind, there are two anxieties. One in the south, in the border between Jordan and Syria. A lot of Iranian militia groups settled there, and they are responsible to smuggling of a lot of weapons to Jordan in order to be subversive against Jordan, the kingdom, and in order to send a lot of weapons to the Judean Samaria. And at that moment, Israel must try to change this threat to demolish it. It means that the border between Jordan and Syria must be safe without intervention of Iranian militia. And in the north, it is very important, in north of Golan Heights, Hermon, because the Hermon mountain giving a direction of control to Druze villages in South Lebanon, to control to Damascus. From a Hermon mountain, we can just glide to Damascus, to the valley of Damascus. And therefore, right now, according to shared understanding with the United States, Israel succeeded IDF to take these necessary positions. This is the situation.
Thank you so much, General, for that very thorough geopolitical understanding of what's happening. Let me ask you a question. Is there a concern that with IDF soldiers sitting in Syria right now, you mentioned they're in the 1974 buffer zone in Syria, is there a concern that the Arab world will perceive this or spin this as the Jews are invading the Waqf, that now the Israel is the aggressor, and that will somehow be a rallying cry in the Middle East that will ultimately come back to hurt us?
Actually, that's exactly what the Turks are trying to create now, that mood of thinking. Therefore, they are so dangerous, the Turks. And the Turks are dangerous also to the United States because they are belonging to NATO. In NATO, they are belonging to the headquarters of Europe, EUCOM, what is called. And on the other side, they are intervening now in the territories that are under command of CENTCOM, Central Command of the United States. And the Americans must be clear with Erdogan about the way he's going to lead these dreams, because everyone must emphasize to him that the dreams of coming back to the Ottoman Empire is not really relevant to the 21st century. And if he will insist to devote to that dream without be sensitive to the new considerations, he will become an enemy to the region, an enemy to the United States. And it is a real challenge to the United States now, because actually the Turks are part of NATO. Therefore, it is a real challenge. And what Israelis are doing, we are aware about our limitations. We cannot do what the Americans can do. We are not a superpower. What we can do is to be active enough in order to emphasize that we are part of the game and we have interests.
So in your view, just so I understand, the real concern right now with Syria is Turkey's involvement and not necessarily the growth of ISIS or Al-Qaeda or other radical Sunni
groups. Together, they are together. Because Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Turks, all of them are radical Islamic brothers. And maybe Hamas will find again a hub in Damascus,
Right.
because they are part of that Islamic Brotherhood.
Now, before we went live, and I asked you if what's happening in Syria is good or bad for Israel, you had very choice words. Are you able to share your opinion on these turn of events, what you had told me?
Actually, what happened, it is a miracle by God. It is not something that could happen by human being planning. And therefore, we must thank God about what happened. And we must take responsibility to behave true, in the true way, with the outcomes of that. To take responsibility, it means that only in in the crossing of Yam Suf, God say, Adonai lachem lachem v'atem tacharishun. It means now, in the same way that David said, Erdof oivai v'asigem v'lo ashuv ad chalotam. It means I'm running with my army, I'm killing my enemy, and God will just give help. This is the situation now, that we are just doing that. We are not sitting passively. And about the future, we must take seriously what sages said about Yaakov, Parashat Vayeshev, just 1 week from now. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz migurei aviv. They are saying that Jacob asked to sit in tranquility, and therefore jumped upon him the sorrow of Joseph, that disconnected from him, disappeared. And even Khatam Sofer asking directly, what's wrong with sitting for a moment in tranquility? And Khatam Sofer giving a very dramatic answer. In Gematria, Esav equal to Shalom. It means that to think about Shalom in Olam Hazeh, in this world, it is not the form of life of those who are worshipping God of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We are struggling. It is a life of struggle, no paradise. And this is the hope.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you have a powerful idea about wanting to live in paradise, wanting to be in Gan Eden, but that's not the way God made this world. As we have just a few minutes left, are you able to share a little bit with how we misunderstand why we're here, and how to succeed in wars, and that lesson?
Wars are not at all just physical phenomena. They are cultural and spiritual phenomena. And therefore, in what we are saying and pray every day, Shirat Hayam, we are saying, Adonai ish milchama, Adonai shmo. It means God is not only a mercy and just niceties. God is an entity of war. This is a way that God leading the universe. We struggle. And Luther, for example, at the time he translated the Bible to Germany, he found a lot of difficulties of that phrases, what it means, Adonai Tzvaot. If God is just mercy, why he needs an army? The idea is that the whole process of redemption coming by forces like huge war and spiritual forces of a lot of people, this is a way to change really the reality. And we are at a moment of huge change. We are not really know what the direction, but we must trust God that the direction is in order to redeem Am Israel, to do that something according to the whole prophecies of Isha, Yirmiyahu, etc.
Amazing. Major General Gershon Hacohen, it's a great privilege and pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for giving us of your time and your wisdom.
Hey, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you to all
And
of our
therefore, we
viewers.
must act and pray
Amen.
and trust God.
Absolutely. Thank you to all of our viewers and supporters for tuning into this briefing. We will be back with you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. here in Israel. Until then, stay safe, stay strong. Take care, everyone.